Good evening. Welcome to Cut Deep. It's Season 5, Episode 9. I am your host, Cindy Roseanne. The concept of Cut Deep was developed with a focus on encouraging the wider public to think more in depth on issues that plague us, encouraging persons to have a voice and to use that voice to invoke change. Cut Deep is an interactive platform cutting through the noise and political rhetoric. It is raw, uncut, challenging you to think critically. What do the issues mean for us? What part do we play? It is a platform that will move the Virgin Islands toward unified, integrated success. I want to welcome back Blossoms Flores as our support sponsor for Cut Deep. I want to thank those of you who continue to support this platform from behind the scenes. Thank you. Cut Deep is a multi-platform show covering social and political issues in the BVI. Its viewership continues to grow, reaching more than 6,000 viewers per week. It cuts across demographics and captures an international audience. For advertising opportunities, you can email cutdeep@gmail.com or call 284-440-3234. Supporters may donate to the Cut Deep platform and the issues it supports through our ATH Mobile 284-440-3234 through checks, cash. Donations will be kept confidential. Send words of encouragement, comments, leads, and social concerns to the Cut Deep email. Thank you to our viewing audience and supporters for watching and sharing our content. That is the best support of all. I believe that the youth voice is indeed the most important when we are making major decisions on the direction of this territory. Tonight, I have the pleasure of having two very informed young people join me in studio tonight. We'll take a quick break and come right back to introduce them. It's tea time in the studio.
The win.
What the hell
I'm freaking out.
is about these people?
It's always a pleasure coming to you live and direct from the
What's poppin'? What's really good?
Davis has won it for the Lakers.
Welcome back. It's Cut Deep, Season 5, Episode 9. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm your host, Cindy Roseanne. I want to welcome back Blossoms Flores as our support sponsor for Cut Deep. I want to thank those of you who continue to support this platform from behind the scenes. Thank you. Tonight, the youth join in on the conversation. Two well-informed, dynamic youth join me on set. I am delighted to have them, and I will have them introduce themselves to you this evening. I have Jovan, Cline, and I have Via Donovan. If you can just introduce yourself to us as if nobody knows you, so that we understand who you are.
Ladies first.
My name is Via Donovan-Hodge. I am a young person and artist. I don't know what else I use in my introduction of myself.
What type of artist?
I performance and digital media and
Okay.
visual artist as well.
Okay.
My name is Jovan Cline. Who am I? I'm a bit of everything sometimes, but I'm a guy from the Virgin Islands who has grown to love this Virgin Islands. I am very active in the community with young people like myself or younger. I sing, I speak, I enjoy myself whenever I can, however I can. And I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having us.
No problem. I want to ask, how did you guys become interested in, I don't want to say politics, but the issues and you know, what's going on around you? Like, what piqued your interest?
Sorry, I find that to be a funny question as to how you got interested in politics or
Yeah.
how you got interested in, relations, because how do you become disinterested, I feel like should be the question. How are you?
I love that.
As a young person, as an individual, as a human being living in this space, everything that is happening around us directly affects your life, on a daily basis. On a future basis, what am I going to be doing a year from now, a couple years from now, next week? So to not have any level of interest at all, I think would then be like, this is a little bit concerning. So it's just being a part of, wanting to be a part of or wanting to be knowledgeable about things that are going to affect my future and, how things are running.
I can tell you, I really love that question, that answer, and your follow-up question as to what should have been the question is also very powerful, because I'm not going to ask you to give an age range, but I think you're really young and probably about the same age. I was probably a little younger when I was interested in as well, because how could you not be interested in where your life is going, because the decisions that are made every day affect it. So I love that answer.
Yeah, it makes my answer. Put some pressure on mine, but I was not always interested in the politics and the leadership of the BVI. And that, just from an honest place, is because I did not always love the BVI. Growing up, you were always taught that you have to leave to be great. You have to leave to become somebody. You have to, you have to speak like somebody else. You have to look like somebody else.
You learned that here?
Oh, yes.
That's interesting.
Oh, yeah. And the lessons are not direct, but they are
The
a
actions.
majority in a lot of the things that we are taught in school and just in society. So let's say based on how we talk, what I have been told a number of times, if I'm in school and I'm using my accent or something just to speak, I'm told that I'm talking wrong. So if I'm talking wrong, then that means whatever way, which is the American way that we are taught to speak, that's the right way to talk. So if that's the right way and this is the wrong way, that means my culture is wrong. That means where I am, something is wrong with where I am. So all these kind of things. So my mind was always set on just being away and getting off this island. That started to change around for me when I came back. I visited from school, I think it was like 2012 or 2013, something, one of those years. And I was just coming over the hill and I saw the sunset. And I realized that there's probably no other place in the world that I'm going to ever be able to experience a scene like this. And from that moment, just the things about this beautiful place that I was able to experience, that I could be able to say that I know.
It's something you want to preserve.
Yes, it's something to hold on to. So from that aspect now, and I started to look at the communities and leadership and our business community, things like that, and you start to notice some things, and that's just like, all right, so there's a lot of attention that needs to be had in some areas. Yeah,
it's interesting your response, because I know your age, so I'm gonna say I'm 20 years your senior.
Okay.
It may not look that way, but I'm 20 years your senior.
You're doing good.
And there is a huge difference. I don't know that part of the BVI where you're encouraged to leave and be something. Well, I'm just gonna speak from my mom. I know that they were very much interested in the furthering of education and coming back and applying that to the BVI. So it's interesting you say that. I know that it is a thing now, and I don't know if it's a thing because they think you can be more away, or
you know what I think affects it a lot, especially making a comparison between the era that you were growing up and the era that I had to grow up in. The level of exposure, media, and that that level of exposure continues to rise in a very dangerous way. But the level of exposure when it comes to the media, all media here is American media. So everything I see that looks like success on TV, all the people that are praised and so on and so forth, it's mostly away. All the trends, all of that stuff comes from somewhere else. So I think that's definitely one of the differences that competed against the cultural pride that, of course, some of my elders in the community and stuff like that would push. Yeah.
Okay, very interesting. I'm gonna get into the hot issues like right away because we only have an hour, I would say, to get to all of it. By the time we hit one, it's like the hour is up and I have to fight with my team for an extra 5 minutes. So I want to start with the hottest, most recent issue, the biggest one. The Commission of Inquiry. Okay. I see Via over there like, she's coming. Yes, I want to start with that because the Commission of Inquiry, it has brought forth a lot of information that will determine where the BVI goes, which path we're going to take. And I think the best people for me to talk to understand what they thought of the COI, what has come out of it, and where we can look to as a future. I would love to hear from you guys on that.
Yeah.
Looking at me. Okay. So, honestly, I haven't followed the Commission of Inquiry like in depth over the, how long has it been? Almost a year? Has it been a year?
Yeah, about 8 months. Yeah. Almost a year.
I have not followed in depth, so I can't speak specifically to, the goings-ons. Overall, I think the one thing that I would say about the Commission of Inquiry and how I feel about it as a young person and as a person interested in the best for this country is that I support it fundamentally and contextually the meaning of what we are, how we are going to check ourselves and check our checks, our balances, and make sure everything is running how it should be and remove elements that are not in our best interest from our government. I think, however, it gets kind of tricky in that we don't trust ourselves to be able to do that, and that we have to go and rely on external forces to be the ones to check us. And why don't we trust ourselves and have the confidence in ourselves to be able to check ourselves? And I think that I've seen that mentality, go down into different areas of our lives as baby islanders without just the Commission of Inquiry in play. Growing up and even as a young person, if you want to find certain doctors and we have, let's say I need to go to an eye doctor who went away to school, has the same degrees, XYZ, but you'll hear people say, oh, I don't want to go to this doctor because I don't trust them completely. I don't think that they're going to know what they're doing, but you're willing to go to somebody abroad, somebody who's not from here, somebody who's abroad and who's coming here with the same level of education and the same, the same degrees, all of that, but we trust them more than we trust each other and we trust ourselves to be able to look after each other and look after ourselves. So that's...
Do you look at that? Because that brings out something that I continue to look at us as a people and wonder about. Do you think that there is a level of self-hate against Virgin Islanders? We keep it real and cut deep, and I would like to be as real as possible because you guys are the next set of leaders. And until we can bring some issues to the forefront, address them, it's just going to be the same as we go along. So,
self-hate, I think, might be a little strong, but definitely along those lines. We have a lot of things that, as a people, we could be doing better at encouraging among ourselves. And again, it's a confidence thing where we seem to be able to have confidence in others. And even though we do encourage our kids to go away and go to school and have education and come back and be these great things, but yet when they are here it's kind of just like somebody else can go to you but I won't go to you for this specific service. That also trails over the self-hate thing, kind of goes into what Jovan said earlier about we idolize these things from outside instead of what is here.
But if I can, and you can chime in when you're ready. if you look at pride is a thing. It's a big thing. And I'm not sure that
have a
people
lot of it.
understand the depth of pride. If you, for example, peruse my Facebook page, I push local a lot. I'm gonna shop local, I'm gonna support local as much as I can. Outside will be the last option. Even if the local is bringing something in to sell, what they've gone through to bring it in, and I will support it if it's not ridiculous. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that part is important. Yeah.
But to say that, and it just comes through everything that we do, as you say. And so that's why I call it self-hate, because if you look around the Caribbean, they celebrate each other big time, right? We don't do that. We always have a problem with every single thing. If you make a t-shirt, oh, it's all right, but it could be this. Just anything and everything, and we don't promote each other on the jobs. We keep back each other, we backbite, we fight, we nothing, so I'm wondering, that's why I brought up, the whole self-hate, because kind of where we are, we continue to fail.
I don't think the term self-hate, based on what I've seen and what I experienced, really hits it on the nose. I would say more, something I do say often is that the BVI suffers from an issue of low self-esteem, where now we don't see our value, and not only do we not see our value, but we think what we are is only so much. And when you break that down to the individual level, and you just, when you pay attention to how somebody operates with low self-esteem, that is not aware enough to acknowledge the condition of having low self-esteem, you're going to find a person who is always wanting to hold on to anything that they think they have, and they're not willing to share, they're not willing to be open and loving. You're going to deal with people who, do backbite and try to cut out the opportunities for other people. You're going to find those areas where now, I want to be great, so I'm going to buy these things, I'm going to have the best this, have the best that, but everything that I'm getting that I think is the best is really based off of what other people have. And I think that issue that we see there, where now us building ourselves up is based on how far we can put others down. I think that's the issue that we have. And for me, that really comes from an issue of low self-esteem and not being able to see your own value. Because if I see how great I am, and then, there's something that Via is doing, me pushing her up, supporting her, encouraging her, it does nothing to my value. I'm still great. But I don't think a lot of us in the BVI see that, and I don't think the systems in the BVI operate that way.
We're the system. We work the system. So
okay, I'll take it.
We work the system, because if I'm having those issues and I'm a boss, say inside of whether it's a government office or a private office, I'm kind of would be the worst thing. For any Virgin Islander coming in. I
think it's a really oppressed mindset that we operate on, because we feel like we are supposed to determine who gets what. And if I finally got my house and it took me 20 years, 30 years to get a house, and then you are doing so well and you're about to get a house and you've only been working for 5 years, something's wrong there. So if I could stop you, I need to stop you, because I feel like I need to teach you something, because
how getting could you
there,
excel so fast?
Right, you getting there before me might mean that you're better than me, and I can't handle that. And that's the issue that at least I witnessed among a lot of the leaders, and I'm not just talking about political, just in the business world, a lot of the leaders, it's a lot of closed doors and closed minds. And it's sad. It's a really sad thing.
It's absolutely sad sometimes, because when you think about where the BVI is in 2021 and the potential that it has, it's the mindset is very detrimental to the future of the BVI.
I said this during the Black Lives Matter march when we had the rally. I believe our aspiration should be becoming a haven or a place where other countries around the world can look at and see pillars of examples of brown and black greatness. I believe that we should be examples of acceptance. We should be a a country where if something is happening in America, something is happening in England, wherever, based on our resources and our support among ourselves, we should be able to say, you know what, we're going to send this here, or, you know, we're going to open up so we allow these people to come in. I believe we have that potential. And when I say black and brown, I'm not excluding, you know, or Caucasian or Filipino, or, you know, whatever, whoever else we have here. But just based on the majority who's here, that's what we see, that's what we have, that's who we are. And I think we have to really stand with pride in that and with that, you know?
Absolutely. So what I would like to find out is what did you learn coming out of the COI? What kind of structures we need to be looking at towards the future of the BVI?
Just being really honest, there was a lot of surprising things that was said and revealed during the COI, based on money disappearing, based on contracts that weren't signed, based on, you know, how this whole petty contract thing is set up, and the different loopholes and things that are dropped, and what personal secretary did this or maybe didn't do that. All of that stuff was very surprising. But for me personally, what stood out the most, or what was the most disappointing thing, were the characters and the composure of our leaders sitting in that seat. For the first time, I felt like I saw behind the campaign, and you saw the attitudes, or the lack of capacity, just the lack of capacity that a lot of our leaders have, or just the playing out points where you just disagree with the approach that they're taking, or how, you know, easily offended they are. You know, those kind of things, for me personally, that was the most disappointing thing, and it makes me reflect continuously on the fact that, you know, this whole VIP, NDP, whatever other P we have, we have to, and I would love to find a way where we could break away from that and really take how we consider leadership in the context of the characters that are standing in those positions. You know, and I that was the thing that really hit for me.
Yeah. For me too, I can agree with you that I think for most of us, but I think it was something that had to happen. I think we were so shell-shocked.
Yeah.
And I think the reality hit home that it is time to actually look at the people we put in positions, because as we move forward and be a part of the international community and international conversation, we need to have leaders that can actually come to the table and be able to have a discussion, be able to answer questions, be able to even actually do research and come and be prepared for a conversation with adults.
Just on that note, in terms of leadership, something that I look forward to is the moment where we can really look at our leadership and see a mixed collection of not just gender, but race, age, and ideal. So we can really get a holistic take or perspective on the direction of the BVI. Every nation that's represented here in the BVI has helped to build the BVI in a significant way, either way you look at it. And I'm not a person who's so threatened by, you know, somebody else moving here, or, you know, that's something that we fight a lot. That I would ever say, you know, I don't ever want to see someone who's a Caucasian or someone who's from the Philippines or something like that sit in a position of leadership. If that's how, I think personally, if that's how we will continue, we'll forever be left behind in a certain sense.
Well, the Constitution speaks to the point at which that will happen. And I don't think we're very far from it, because there are quite a few persons that are just about on that third generation that can step up for leadership. So it's about seeing how they would be received would be the next
so
conversation.
another
Not that
thing.
they won't be qualified
Yeah.
to step up, but would they be accepted? You know, and that's
Yeah.
a whole nother mindset and another conversation to, you know, dissect.
I think it's
So,
time we stop acting like victims.
Ooh,
Yes.
Lord have mercy. I really like these young people. Do we have a lot more like you out there? I actually want to think so, because we don't.
No, I can't say no,
Okay.
because I really don't put myself on a pedestal at all. And I have a lot of conversations with people that are much smarter than me. You know, so there's definitely some out there who are like me or in a better position in terms of awareness and knowledge and so on and so forth. I
find the young people, like I scan their pages. There are quite a few of them sitting on my page as well, and I find that they're engaging.
Yeah.
They're paying attention.
Yeah.
And that's a great start, a great place to
Because
be.
our parents' pockets are turning into our pockets.
This one.
so
This one, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have to. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And now we're going to take a quick break and come right back.
At Blossoms, our floral experts use their creative flair to design beautiful and exotic bouquets. We are the on-island wedding experts, and for boating enthusiasts, we can help you to add a touch of floral elegance, life, and color to your yacht, mega yacht, both locally and internationally. We've even worked with celebrities. At Blossoms, we continue to deliver smiles and watch our customers bloom.
Welcome back. It's a new season of Cut Deep. Thank you for joining us tonight. If you're just tuning in, you're just in time. It's season 5, episode 9. I am your host, Cindy Roseanne. We are happy to be back for a new exciting season. I want to welcome back Blossoms Florist as our support sponsor for Cut Deep. I want to thank those of you who continue to support this platform from behind the scenes. Tonight I have 2 dynamic young people in the studio with me, and I'm excited to have them. Our conversation is, I want to say, just getting started, but we're kind of 30 minutes in. But Jovan, Cline, and via Donovan-Hodge, thank you for being on set with me. I'm enjoying this conversation, and I want to jump straight into the Julian Willock issue.
Okay.
I love how Via smiles. She's like, oh my God.
Let Jovan take this one.
Well, I mean,
No, I should be
overall, as the seat, if you could give your position on just a brief overall on what you think of.
I can answer first. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think there's any, or there should be any really long discussion about it.
No long discussion. Just yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm in a position that he should pay for the bill that he created, based on moves that he shouldn't have made. I can understand the sentiment of why he was making the moves. I can respect a pursuit of that further if there is ground there. But if we're talking about the bill, we're talking about the bill. And as it stands, he made a move that he wasn't supposed to make. A bill came as a result. It shouldn't come from our pockets. It should come from his. And that's cut and dry for me, really. Yeah.
Same. No.
I have growing and shifting perspectives as I read and understand more fully the situation. So I can't say cut and dry as relation to Jovan, but we're not having a long conversation about it. So
No, you go ahead. We would
no,
love to hear your
I
view.
don't have a long conversation to have about
Okay.
it. You know, it's just the educating ourselves and having conversations about from both perspectives and both sides about why things are done and why things are happening. And on the other side of things, and you know what they're doing to protect their people, and what we are doing to protect our people, and how all of that is going to come into play. So
When you say our people and their people, who are we talking about? The UK and the
Yes,
BVI? Okay.
yes.
Well,
The UK,
you have,
UK
you have to be
BVI.
very clear
Sorry.
here so we know.
the UK and
Exactly.
the BVI.
Okay.
Yes.
You know, you use the word protect, and that's something that has been thrown around a lot. Like I watched the House of Assembly for the decisions, just to one make sure I'm getting a decent idea of what's happening. Because that's what I expected our leaders to talk about, the context of the situation, so on and so forth. And I'm a person who believes that correction is a part of love. Whether I disagree with what you're doing or anything like that, I don't hate you.
Absolutely.
I know a lot of the leaders. I appreciate a lot of the leaders. I don't hate them. I might disagree with them strongly. I don't hate them. There's not enough time in life for that.
Facts.
However, when I was watching the House of Assembly and that tone of protection was coming around, it more so came across to me as a cover where some leaders would go up and go on a long rant about something that had nothing to do with what is actually on the table.
Like being in the Sahara, some desert, and having a gun in your face.
And
I couldn't.
Yeah, those things I take as insults, not just to myself, but just to the people of the Virgin Islands, because what you're telling me in that moment is that you think I am not aware enough or intelligent enough to pick up on your, I don't know if I could say that term, to pick up on what you're doing, So that's why, I would say the ministers that, there was only one minister who's a part of the government who said they disagree. And then there was another minister who said that, they acknowledge that what he did was wrong, but they also see what he was going for, so they're confused about which path to take. And I could appreciate that they at least said that he was wrong. But everything else I was hearing was just trying to make it a us against them situation. And that's why I say we really have to stop operating as victims. As long as we operate as a victim, we're going to be victims. As long as we try to make the bad guy this big thing, and it not only makes us seem smaller, but in no air of it are we correcting the issue. And if we are going to protect this person, if we are going to protect this entity, we have to be able to say, you're wrong. You have to be able to say, all right, this is what you need to do. And then once you do it, let's have a conversation. Let's see how we go from there. And that's, again, disappointing. Disappointing. And the decision to even put on a table that this has to come from the taxpayers. I feel like so many decisions have been made that disregard the position of the people of the Virgin Islands, that disregard the things that need attention. I don't know if I start talking about the high school, we definitely need the time cap. But, just to make reference, I remember listening to the Minister of Education, and he said this year that the Premier has committed to financing the rebuilding of the school. And when I heard that, I was like, so what has been happening? What if in 2021 you're committing to rebuilding the school, what's been happening? And I have a lot of questions. I've been asking many people time and time again. There was a fundraiser in Hong Kong. What happened to that? So all these things, and I'm a person, like, I don't mind sitting down and having a conversation. I just want to understand, and that's the point that I'm disappointed a lot with the administration. There's no communication. If I disagree with what you're doing, but you can at least say, this is why we're going this route, then I'll maybe I won't agree, but I'll at least have some respect for your decision, and I don't think we're getting that. I'm definitely not getting it.
Yeah, well, none of us are getting it. Yeah. It's an interesting space that we're in right now. Via, so do you see, I want to use the right words and terms, do you see a fight between the UK and the BVI? Or do you see an us and them?
Historically,
No, right now.
right now, but I think our right now can't be determined without acknowledging historically.
I acknowledge slavery. I acknowledge the 400 years of slavery. Am I going to keep that noose around my neck
No,
and not
so-
move forward? No. So that's why I said, now, do you see? We know where we came from. We know the British and the Danish and the US and all of them, they all bought, the French, they bought territories. We know that. Do you see an us and them where they are fighting to hold the BVI back? A problem in their governance? That's what I want to know. Like, when you say us and them.
Us and them. Okay, I might have used the wrong terminology in that moment. So my question then to you would be a stance on, is the BVI's future, if we're speaking of us and them, are we speaking in the context that we are gearing towards independence in our future?
Ooh, that's a big question. You want us to bring it up now? It's right
Well,
on
I
here.
feel like that's the immediate consequence
Okay.
of that question then.
All right.
Because
So we'll get back to it then.
Can I
So
say something to that though?
Yeah.
So I think that an us and them has definitely been created, but the question is
And why?
who is creating it, who's pushing that us and them.
And why?
Yeah, and why? I think that would be the thing to definitely point out. That tone is definitely out and open. I think the negative aspect of it is that now we confuse anyone who's from the UK
Yeah.
as the them that whoever's creating this scenario is talking about. So the people that have been here for years and have helped to build up the Virgin Islands and genuinely love this place, they're being, I don't want to say ill-treated because I don't think that would be the right thing to say. They're being categorized in a sense that isn't true to their nature, isn't true to their heart. So there definitely
and I think that's
is
important. What's inside people's heart and wanting the best interest of the BVI being the overarching thing that's important within.
And the us and them thing has definitely been created, but who's creating it? Who has created it, and what's the motive? I don't necessarily believe in by any means necessary, and this is going to go right into what we said, what Via brought up, and I think there's a push to get people to agree with self-determination, but to use hate or to use racial tension as a means to get there, I don't think that's the right way to go about it.
I told, from time to time, I tell my story of how I got into politics and, the attention that I pay to certain issues and so forth. And at 47, I can tell you that this comes up quite a bit. The whole war between, whatever that invisible war is between the UK and the BVI. And quite often it surfaces when Virgin Islanders are looking for answers in terms of bad behavior, bad governance, any citing of corruption from our leaders. Whenever Virgin Islanders step up to inquire, somehow that conversation about the UK, it's on the table. I don't get it. It happens every single time. Now, if we were in a position to call a COI on ourselves, that would have been brilliant, that we have, or systems advanced to the point where we could do that. But we can't even get to that point.
Yeah.
And so the reason we can't get to that point, and when they say why does the UK has to come in and do it, or why the UK don't call COIs happen all the time. This isn't the first one for the BVI either. They happen all the time. One of the problems the BVI has is that we don't have any good governance legislations to stand on to do anything. We've proven that we can't bring ourselves into check. Okay? Because the fact is that Virgin Islanders continue to ask for good governance legislation. It's a fight constantly. There's always a reason why it didn't make it to the table. There's always a reason why it didn't go through the House this term. We're going to look at it next term and next term and next term. These are simple legislations. You don't have to go and create anything new. There are precedents all over the world. There are precedents right in the other overseas territories that you can look at, apply to the BVI, adjust, and get it moving. I don't think that our leadership to date has been interested in putting good governance on the table, which is the platform really to start thinking about further self-determination. So these are simple things that Virgin Islanders and the UK has asked all leaders to put in place.
You know, with that, whenever we use the term leadership, it's unfortunate that we kind of put everybody in the basket all at once. It's the position that they put themselves in, really. But you know, I would, I would like to believe that there are some leaders who would be able to support good governance, would be able to fall in line with that. Going back to the COI, like I said, I saw how some of our leaders definitely don't have the capacity that I thought they have. But then I saw some leaders display exactly what I expect them to display. And I mean that in the good sense. I saw some of the negative too. But I think, however, though, there's something with this administration that just overcasts every other opinion that might be, because it just don't add up for me.
Well, I think all of our administrations to date, and if we look at what has been coming out of the COI, I don't think they feel that they operate under the laws. I think they think that the laws are for the people, and they're not a part of that. The laws don't apply to them. That's the biggest issue, one of the biggest things I see coming out of COI. And it shows also when the Premier goes into the House and he decides that he's going to override the judiciary.
I'm so happy you said that. I forgot to bring that up.
And do what he wants to do. What I realized with this administration is that they don't have due care at all for the laws, period. They're going to do whatever they want, however they want, whenever they want. And I mean,
I think that's the notion that definitely comes, especially from that last act with, you know, making a decision after the judge has made a decision. That was new to me. I don't know everything. Maybe there's some law or something that allows that to happen, but that is new to me. And it's still not. It's not even shocking anymore. It's just crazy that so many of the other leaders in place just are going along with that, and that's the thing.
It's called the party system,
and it don't work. It does not work, and I can't imagine after this anyone who is of a progressive, productive mind really thinking that it can work. Especially if it's going to be one call represents every voice. It can't be like that. It shouldn't be like that. If you have a team of 7, everybody has a voice. I could understand it if everybody agrees, but it doesn't. It don't add up.
Yeah. I think going into every election, and especially the last election, people were very clear on the things that they wanted for the BVI. I don't see the administration working or pushing towards any of those things. And I
So give me some perspective.
when people say, like, you get a lot of "I'm not going back to the polls," right? That, I mean, that bothers me. That's an uphill battle that we now have to focus on and fight when we should be looking at other things to zero in on to make the BVI better. We now have to decide how to get these people back to the polls, because people are definitely, this isn't it. So
What does a body of legislators look like? A body that keeps the government in check. Give me some perspective on that. What do you think is the best way to go about putting something like that together?
what, outside of parties?
Yeah.
For me, I am very interested in a platform of independent persons coming forward. Because there was a time in the BVI, and I definitely feel we can get back to that, where people are elected.
Okay.
They go into a house, and everyone sits around the table and decides who will be a premier or who will be this inside of government. There was a time when that worked. I mean, Cayman has gone back to it.
Okay.
If you look at the structure that's in Cayman right now, more independent, and this has been happening for independent candidates have been running for the past 3 election cycles in Cayman. And this year, they were successful. And they came together and they formed the government. Every single member of the government is independent except for one.
So you see what just happened there? Because what you just said to me there, that's new for me. So that's information I'm going to take and research. That kind of thing needs to happen on a level of education.
Correct.
For young people, because now one of the issues are us growing up and now being aware, we're looking at what is established as a government, and that's all we know.
But
So
I mean, I
in,
think
in our minds, this is what government looks like. Until
that it
we
has
now,
to be parties,
right?
right?
Until
And
we now look different.
I believe you, because I think people are so consumed with the party system that they believe that parties have to present themselves for government. And it was yesterday or the day before, I think Sam and I had a real go on Tola Radio, and he was saying that, because he asked where there was any government that was set up of independent candidates, and I told him Cayman, and he just kept going. I mean, he was like, well, how many persons were on any one party? I said, none. They are all independent. He said, which party was the premier on? I said he ran independent.
I mean, I don't know how well the
Okay.
Cayman government is running, but it's an interesting concept.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you're not hearing anything. They're not falling apart. They're running the country, and it's doable. We did that before. You don't have to join a party to sit in government.
Yeah, I think what's going to get people back to the polls and what's going to get young people interested in politics again, we have to see that what is established works, and the majority of us at this point have basically come to the conclusion that what is established system-wise is not working.
It doesn't work. The BVI truly went into a two-party system about 25 years ago, and that totally destroyed the BVI. I don't care what anybody say. It destroyed the BVI. The only thing that we don't do is jump on each other for wearing a red shirt or a green shirt. And I don't think we're far from that. Or at least in the past 2 elections, I think we were pretty close to that.
And it's unfortunate because it makes a society much easier to be manipulated.
Of course, and that is
pushed in certain
exactly
ways.
exactly what was done. I feel like we're operating between gangs and gang turfs, and You know, I want to see us go back to a place where the BVI is the important thing.
I do believe that we have the hearts and the minds in the BVI to get to the place that we should be.
Of course we do. We absolutely do.
We have that, not just the potential, but we have people with the capacity to execute things how they need to be executed. We have the young people that would be willing to step up once everything becomes or can be presented to them in a relevant way where they see how they are a part of what's going to happen next, so on and so forth. And we take the focus off of where they need to be in other places and more so on how they can help or be a part of what's happening here.
Absolutely. I have a couple big questions. Fia, what role would you say the young people play in moving this territory forward?
That's an interesting question. I think the young people play. It's a hard balance because on one part of me wants to say we are crucial in moving the BVI forward and we play a very large role in moving that BVI forward. But then as a young person who often sits among my peers and sometimes we do feel boxed in and our voices don't actually matter and we will sometimes say the older generation we don't feel like they give us space and the ability to actually inflict change and move us forward. So then it's we feel like we should be a big part of this process, but we're not actually then seen. But it also might just be a problem of the young people do have a very large role in this, but we don't have enough young people who believe that they have a large enough role.
Well, the largest voting bloc for the next election is young people.
Young people who
So
don't want to vote.
So you guys, I think you need to mobilize yourselves. Because if it's one or two voices, we're not gonna hear you. I mean, I see the young people, I hear them, I see them. They're very loud to me. So I think maybe you guys need to mobilize and say, here we are.
I think we have an issue with doing that though. And at a large scale, I think.
What do you think the issue is?
Personally, I have heard a lot, when you ask young people to get together to do certain things or try to accomplish certain things, the argument that I get back a lot, not, from everybody, but if it's in against it, it's kind of like, I agree with you and I agree that this needs to happen, but if you, me, and 5 other people go stand up outside this place to argue for this thing, what's that gonna do? And because they don't believe that, our voices are going to inflict change, and there's a lack of wanting to go and gather the numbers, and I'm just like, that mindset does not drive us forward, because if everybody says, oh, well, then what is my one voice going to do, then you don't get the one voices gathered in the hundreds and gathered in the thousands to actually push forward any change. So I think it's realizing for us that your one voice does actually matter, because your one voice piled together with lots of other one voices can inflict the change and can move us forward.
So who's going to start the young people movement?
Who's starting the young people movement, Jovan?
What I could confidently say, there are young people who are already ready to start a movement. There are, I've been approached, and I've had, like I said, some really good conversations with a lot of people my age who want change and who are willing to come together and make things happen. I think within the next year, you will see a structured voice, you will see a structured body of young people operating.
So let me tell you what I mean when I say young people. I'm not defining that as, educated ones or the ones in cliques, because I see that happen a lot. I'm defining young people as all young people, because you guys have to be an influence on the generation behind you. There's also a large section of young persons that will be eligible to vote within the next election. Okay, so they are turning into that age. I would love to see you guys go after them.
I don't have a thing against it. You know.
No, I'm just saying that's what I would like to see.
Yeah.
You guys pulling them in and forward.
I think the things to zone in on would definitely be among, because even though everybody's an individual, everybody associates with a certain cohort. So among the different cohorts, you know,
Who's the leader?
not necessarily who's a leader. That is important. Remind me of somebody who I had a conversation with a few weeks back. But not just who's a leader, but what makes what's happening irrelevant to their perspective, the perspective of that cohort. Once we could develop that understanding, then we know, okay, this is how we pull off that veil. So we can show you that, all right, this does affect you, this does matter to you. And then we build from there. I do not believe that any change will just happen from the affluent young people or the popular young people or anything like that. We have a wide spectrum of individuals in this small little place. And it's going to take everybody to really make the change that's sustainable.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, starting there, like I said, within the next year, I think you'll see organized body making some moves.
All right, cool. Let's make it 3 months. Where would you like to see the territory? What is your vision for the territory, including its positioning on the world stage?
Jovan spoke briefly earlier about where he thinks the BVI should be worldwide, world stage-wise. I have a very pointed, and this is not my grand vision, but one thing that I think that, you know, is a step towards something great for us is, again, going back to us having pride and the way in which we carry ourselves and the way in which our island looks and appears to people. And, you know, yes, there could be laws in place that, you know, require us to do certain things and keep yards certain ways and, you know, but also as a people, I feel like that's a cultural move that we need to make to get back to the place in which, you know, we cared about how we are presenting ourselves to our neighbors and how we are presenting ourselves to people coming into our home, because the BVI is our home and we have people from all over the world always coming in, and how are we having them coming into our house and our house is not clean? So,
you know, gosh, I have 2 minutes and VIA is a problem. She's sending me straight into another really quick question. Guys, don't get mad with me. This might be a question you have to go home and ask your mom and talk to your dad about it. Do you think that the Virgin Islander, like what you see going on around us, is a Virgin Islands thing? The garbage and the...
In some respects, yes. I can only speak from my experience, and as a person,
and from your age,
I can only speak from my experience and from, you know, as a human being and the places that I have traveled to and places that I have been. And yes, we do have a lot of things that we are fighting against. You know, as a country, we're trying to recover from Irma, and then we got hit with COVID, and you know, we as the BVI shut down for a long time because of that, and we suffered for a long time because of that, and we're still in the midst of trying to, you know, find our footing. I've traveled, where did I go earlier this year? I think it was DC, and I went to this, you know, we went to this area, and it was, you know, we see a lot of businesses that had been closed and like a lot of people's homes that have been affected, and you see it visually affected. But I feel like the BVI, the garbage thing, it's a pride thing for me. Like we do have a lot of things we're fighting against, but at the same time, we could care about ourselves a little bit more.
What I meant was the BVI has a lot of different nationalities here that have brought a lot of different traits to the BVI. Because, again, I can go back and I can only speak for me. That wasn't a thing when I was growing up.
So
I'm not familiar with it at all.
Well, I'll pitch in a little bit with this one. And you referenced my dad, so I'm going reference him on something he said. He said one time, I remember, that the BVI did a good job of surviving poverty, but we're not doing a good job of, I think he said, handling poverty, but we're not doing a good job of handling prosperity. And I think that that phrase right there, that saying right there, kind of captures a lot of what we see degrade in the morality and the pride of the BVI. We have a lot of things now, so we focus on the things that we have, and because of that, the negative pride started to raise instead of that positive pride. So it's more about how we look and making sure that I'm not seen picking up garbage, I'm not seen in old clothes or old car. There's a concept that says if you want to make sure that your young people are always taken care of, make sure that the elderly are taken care of. If you want to make sure that the country stays clean, make sure that every place that's the dirtiest place in your country, make sure that area is taken care of, and so on and so forth, whatever different extreme. And I think that's the area that we're failing in. We are building new buildings, and because this building is new, we want to keep it clean, but we're leaving all the trash on the ground. And I'll never blame someone who moves into our country for the condition of our country, because if you come to my house and I don't appreciate you to, and I don't put I don't put my feet.
You don't have my
on-
house rules on the door.
There we go. Yeah.
I saw you wipe your feet on the rug.
Right. So if you come into my house and you're doing something that I don't accept, I'm going to stop you. So I'll never blame it on someone who's coming in.
So my intention wasn't to blame anyone. I just wanted to find out where we thought that type of lifestyle came from.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely correct, because the problem with the BVI is that I don't know what our standards are. I don't know what our rules of engagement are. And I think that's one of the reasons why our moral fabric is out the door, and our culture and heritage and our identity is out the door. I always boil it down to a plan and where we're going.
Oh, you see, you bring up something that I would want to continue to talk about.
I mean,
I'm going to apologize on your behalf. Sorry, guys. Is there any way that I can find a 20-year plan, a 30-year plan, a 10-year plan for the education system of the BVI or anything like that?
No.
That's an issue for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big issue, and here's one of the biggest things, and we're going to wrap up now, but here's one of the biggest things that I think the BVI suffers from. Continuity. And I think we suffer from that because everybody wants to leave their mark.
That negative pride.
Yeah, they want to leave their mark. So if this administration was doing something that is good, the next administration may feel like, I'm going to leave it on the side. I ain't got nothing to do with it. Instead of thinking BVI. We're at Christmas time, so I'm going to share something that I feel like is a loss to us in terms of integrating everyone in the BVI. The past premier, he had this event, Christmas Around the World.
Okay.
Have
Yeah,
you?
I remember that.
Okay, and it was a beautiful event. He did that under his office. Now that happens from the premier's office. So as far as I'm concerned, although he came up with the idea, it is the premier's office. So I think if it's something that any premier that comes in can carry forward. Since he has gone out, it hasn't happened. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's his.
Yeah.
But it's not his, it's the premier's Christmas around the world. So you come in and you continue the premier's Christmas around the world. And it was a beautiful event. I think that incorporated, all the nationalities and the BVI, how they celebrated Christmas, the foods they had. And I went all the time. I totally enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And that just went out the door. So the whole self-shine puts a pause on our continuity.
Yeah.
And how we make the BVI as a whole greater.
Right,
Not
and
focusing
how
on
correct.
self.
So we can't progress because we stop every 4 years. If a new administration come in, this project stops, they go on to another one that they want their name on. It's about time that we start thinking about the BVI. And on that, we're gonna we're gonna wrap up. I think this was a great conversation. It was really good having you guys on. I think I'll probably do a follow-up with you guys in the new season. See where you've gotten with that youth movement. I'm charging you with it. I'm also charging you with getting all those young people that I talked to you about registered to vote. My son is included. He'll be 18 coming up. So you see, it's quite a huge number of them. I want to thank you guys for being here. I want to thank you guys for tuning in tonight. And my clicker isn't working. Believe it or not, the season is winding down. We've had some great topics, discussions, and guests for you this season, and a couple more before we wrap up the season. We have just about 2 more episodes to go. And then we wrap up for the season, and the year is coming to an end as well. We will not be resuming our Thursday show on ZBVI until in the new year. We apologize about that. The Cut Deep platform continues to keep you up to date on what you must know and how it will affect you and the territory. We will continue to prepare you for what is to come. We're on the road to elections. I will continue to say that over the coming year. We will take a look at what could emerge, set the tone for what should emerge, but overall, keep you informed and a part of the conversation. And of course, you and I together form where the territory should be headed. Have a wonderful night, and I will see you next week.